Hello all, it is that time of year again. I am bringing you my most anticipated games that I am looking forward to from this year's UK Games Expo, and it's not that long away now. So a couple of games I have spotted. Now I haven't got loads of details, just what I can see from the Board Game Geek, but hopefully after the convention I will have played all of these games and I'll be going through them, what my thoughts were in a bit more detail, and also I'll have played them then, so I'll know a lot more about them. So the first game is not really any particular order, other than I've gone with the ones I'm most interested to play. And the first one we have up is called Conservas. I absolutely love the artwork on the cover box here. Now this one, Scott Arms, a familiar designer there. You are trying to tin this fish, and it's a bag builder, it says. It's a solo bag building game. So for me, I love games like Orleans, where you're taking those tokens out and you're trying to make those key decisions as to how you build your options in your bag. And in this case, you are heading out to sea. You've got a single boat you're starting off with, so with very little money. And this bag represents the chits are full of fish and water tiles. And you've got this tough decision process as to are you going to accept what your catch was there and then, or are you going to put it out and distribute and rely on the next catch to populate what you're after? Because certain quantities of these fish revealed will give you certain benefits and money and rewards. And you can see there's this fascinating sort of little book where you can play different scenarios, and there's loads of options in there. And as I said, this is a solo only game, which is very unique really. Other than Austerity, I can't think of many solo games that have been published, on a wide spectrum that offer that economic vibe, especially making money and profits from your catch from the sea there. So yeah, it's that bag building effect that I really enjoy and really caught my attention on this one. And it's brought to us by Salt and Pepper Games, really hot at the moment. They've got a few good games out there. They're on a bit of a roll. I can't wait to give this one a go. Next then, we have Oranges and Lemons, which is brought to you by Medusa Games, and those are the guys who were involved in actually setting up the convention. And this one really caught my attention because of the description and the details and the things you can do during your play. So it's worker placement, it plays 2 to 5, it says it's about 90 to 150 minutes, so we will see. Now you're buying, you're selling goods, you've got things like lemons, pancakes, bricks, pans, so it's very thematic to the nursery rhyme in that period of London. And you've got contracts you can fulfill at the docks. There's politics, investment in this early stock market, and you can, take part in these risky but potentially lucrative expeditions to the East Indies. So it's got a lot of things in this description that I really typically like in most games. The artwork so far, obviously this is production. It's not oozing my usual go-to, this sort of medieval type look, but it's probably got a long way to go on its art development. But just overall, what I've seen so far in the images and some of the interviews I've seen out there from Richard himself, the designer, I'm looking forward to playing this one. I'll definitely let you know how I get on with that one. Next, we have a game I've mentioned recently on my anticipated games for the year, was Windmill Valley. Now, I did say then, tulip games, they're not really my go-to. Yes, I want to play a game all about tulips and flowers, but the artwork looks nice here. And what really grabs my attention is some of the mechanics with this rondelle wheel, well, not a rondelle, but this wheel this cog that rotates around, and depending on the timing, you get more actions potentially out of these, and you can manipulate those actions. So for me, that is the key selling point here. So it's a 1 to 4 player game brought to you by Board and Dice. So they've done some, really good games. I think Nucleum is one of those as well. 45 to 90 minutes. So it says this one's going to be a quicker playing game, which is nice. A lot of economic games, they do take a couple of hours. It says it's sort of just touching on medium complexity. So what are you doing? So it's economic / farming, and you're an entrepreneur. You're trying to plant these tulips. You're making money from them. You are using local vendors to buy these plants. You're trying to get an edge with the hired help and achieve these lucrative contracts. And you've got those wheels I've mentioned where you're building your engine and you get better enhancement to it. I really cannot wait to try that aspect. You've got these windmills, activate rewards from adjacent fields as well. You've got those helpers, they can give you bonuses for certain actions. You're getting contracts, all this juicy stuff, typical aspects to an economic game there. So yeah, looking forward to that. And you can see the board looks a little bit hectic, a lot of colours, but from the videos I have watched of this so far, seems to play quite smoothly. So there we are, Windmill Valley. Next up then, a heavier game, Shackleton Base, A Journey to the Moon. So from what I can gather, this is all about your corporation. There's loads to choose from at the beginning. You're heading to the moon and you've got your own agendas you're trying to achieve at the same time as contributing to the construction and the building on Shackleton Base there. So it's a 1 to 4 player game. Common theme here, a lot of solo options on these games. So curious, you know, how those will play out. I'll certainly question the publishers and designers and hopefully get a bit of insight as to how the solo play works on these. As I say, it's heavier complexity. It says 60 to 120 minutes. We will see about that one. Now, you're leading your space agency to expand your presence on the moon. And there's quite a big description here, but essentially, yeah, you're picking one of these corporations. There is the typical new projects, scoring opportunities, 3 rounds it says. You've got a shuttle phase where you're drafting. You've got an action phase where you're deploying these astronauts. You're making the most of the resources they're collecting. You've got funding projects. So it's not using like terraforming Mars to me, which is a game I absolutely love, but I think looking at the board here, it looks rather busy, that it's probably going to be a highly strategic game. And yeah, I'm just curious to see what this game brings really. And yeah, next up then we have Terminus, which there's quite a few videos and content out there already. These guys are coming to the Expo. It's brought to you by Inside Up Games. 2 to 5 players on this one. Actually got a longer time frame, about 90 to 180 minutes, and it says you're building tracks and stations for underground trains to bring your company to the top. Not a massive description on it. You are trying to help build the new subway lines and commercial developments, it says, to improve the city's bottom line, and you have been hired to do this. Now it's transportation, industry, city building, it's got trains. The board looks rather colourful, hectic to me. You know, I don't mind these sort of games, and it's probably not my most anticipated game, but I want to give it a go. And all these images, they're lovely. They're provided by James Correa, so I mentioned him. There's these images off the Geek. And yeah, I like the player board here. Looks like there's a lot going on there with options you've got, maybe building your engine. But the board itself, whether it's more heavy majority than I would like, we will see. And that's pretty much it. There's not many more economic games that have been flagged already. I found in typical years gone by that there's always 1 or 2 that pop up and I'm like, wow, you're actually here, I can play this copy. 18 Arabella was one of those, you know, that I didn't even know they were going to be there, and then boom, there's several tables of that set up. So yeah, the 31st of May to the 2nd of June, be there folks. There's so much to see and do. Go and have a look at previous years. There's lots of content, some content on my channel as well. It's really friendly and welcoming. I've met many of you guys over the years there as well, and I will be wearing this top at least for the first day or so for personal hygiene reasons. I'm not going to wear this all 3 days, but yeah, if you see me in it, come and say hello. Happy to play a game, happy to talk economic games. So there's loads of space at this convention as well, which I really want to add. Maybe not so on a Saturday as you're walking around and it's really hectic, but in terms of playing a game, there's always plenty of tables any time of day. You've got some of the hotel suites as well at the end of the night, which is such a fabulous environment to be in with hundreds and hundreds of other gamers. So if you've not been before, come along, well worth it. And there's all sorts of shows and talks as well. Hopefully we can start to push more economic things going on there, maybe 18xx tournaments, and you know, maybe one day I'll bring you a show on the world of economic games. But yeah, lots to do. Come and say hello, and I'll hopefully see you all there. Bye for now.